Good evening, tribe. My name is Darius Lester, your financial philosopher, and this is Mammoth Money Mindset. And today we have a wonderful treat for you. I have with me Mr. Johnny, the military CEO. I met him over this past weekend at FinCon, and honestly, he just had an amazing story, an amazing portfolio. That might have been the reason we have him on today. And I really liked his mission because, like me, he's actually an active duty member. He's still serving right now, but he also found that he was able to build up his own business, create a different income stream, and really build prosperity for his family, even while still being in the military. So, Mr. Johnny, Mr. Military, Mr. CEO, do you have anything for our audience?
No, first off, man, just thank you for the invite, for being on to come before your audience, man, and hopefully get some value, give them some nuggets, some diamonds that they can put in their back pocket and hopefully cash in on some real estate.
Yep. Nope, that is the plan. I So half of this is going to be for the audience. I'd like to just share with them any information you can on how to get into real estate from the active duty side, anything that you help, anything that you wish you would have done when you were younger, really just
Mm,
to set you up. And the other half is going to be more selfish because I have questions about real estate and I'd
okay.
like you to set me up, on the path to success to maybe reach some of the heights you have.
No, for sure, man. That sounds good. That sounds good. On the military side, it has been a blessed journey thus far with everything that my wife and we've been able to accomplish. Just to be a little young country boy from the dirt roads of Grove Hill, Alabama, growing up. Shout out to Grove Hill. And, three traffic lights, man. Really
Okay.
small area where everybody knows everybody's business. My dad was a pastor, and he was an entrepreneur. He had his own television appliance repair business. My mom worked in the laboratory as a phlebotomist, just hardworking, blue collar family. My sister and they raised us, did the best that they could. And one of the things that really kind of pushed me forward was just my mom's never wavering support and guidance that you're going to leave here, you're getting out of here, and you're going to make something out yourself, and you're going to take care of your sister and make sure you always take care of her if something happens to us. And so for me to be, I didn't have any choice but to be successful because, the drive, the grit after seeing the sacrifices they made, working two jobs and just everything that I've seen with the example and the environment that I was, that it was like it was greatness. It was being great at whatever it is that you do or don't do it at all. And so for me, man, just the military, my dad was a Vietnam vet, and we were able to work it where I had a 4-year Army ROTC scholarship out of
Mm,
high school. And my dad convinced me, like, hey, those Air Force folks next door, you probably stick your head in there, talk with them, see what they got going on. And
mhm.
they offered me a scholarship the second semester after being on campus if I signed up with an electrical engineering degree. And I took them for their word. And so I turned down the 4-year Army ROTC scholarship, enrolled in Air Force ROTC at the University of Alabama, and the rest is history.
Okay. I actually have a similar background. So I'm from Augusta, Georgia. Both of my parents were in the Army. My mom served for about 6 or so years. She kind of got out, just to take care of kids and stuff like that.
Hmm.
My father, he actually retired, so he did his full bit. He retired as like an E7. And after I graduated from high school, I was like, I don't really want to do this whole college thing. I don't feel like getting into debt, so on and so forth. So I was like, I guess I'll join the military. Just why not? And I went to the Army recruiter. I was like, yep, nope, I've heard of the Army the most. I see their advertisements more than everybody else. Army strong, sure, let's go do that. And both of them were like, no, you ain't. And I was like, but both of y'all did it. They're like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's why you're not. Go join the Air Force. And I was like, I don't know what the difference is, but sure, why not? So I went over to the Air Force recruiter, and like most recruiters, they were like, "Hey, welcome. Would you like to be security forces?" And I was like, they're like, there's a bonus. I was like, oh, sure. And my mom was like, no, you're not. And I was like, oh, I can't do that either. And she's like, no, you're not going to be security forces. And I was like, I could have a gun, I get a bonus. That seems like the move. And she was like, nope, you're not doing that. And I was like, okay. And, after a whole bunch of twists and turns, all kind of stuff, I ended up landing in finance.
Nice.
So I don't regret any of that. Now looking back, I very much appreciate my parents for stopping me from joining the army. Army's cool, no offense. And stopping me from becoming the security forces. Y'all are cool too, no offense. But this path that was set for me ended up favoring me very well, and I am appreciative that I went this route.
For
But
sure, man.
what'd you say?
No, I'm saying for sure. I think that's the thing that a lot of times people don't realize that we're all in the military, but all the jobs are definitely not the same. That you can have
Hmm.
some jobs that are more less stressful, more I would say more business like in
Right,
regards to our ops tempo compared to some others that deploy, have a crazy dwell cycle. They're home a year, then gone a year. Back when we were at the height of everything that was going on in Afghanistan and Iraq, so it's definitely all military jobs aren't created equal, but that allows you to take advantage of whatever you've been dealt and the resources you have at your disposal to be a good steward of those and maximize your time and your effectiveness with whatever you got at
for
on your
sure.
plate. Because there's opportunities, regardless of whether you're doing your security forces, finance, acquisitions, logistics, whatever. Like, hey, you just gotta take the cards you're dealt and execute.
No, for sure. And I definitely want to dive into the real estate thing. But prior to that, something I always note that I'm appreciative of is the people that I've met. I am in the position that I'm in right now solely off of the people I just ended up meeting throughout the military. My first base, some random staff sergeant decided to take it upon himself to teach everybody in the office about credit just for no reason.
Mm.
He just pulled us all into a room. He made a PowerPoint and he was like, this is this credit, these are cards, this grows, this makes stuff cheaper. Start getting good at it now. If I would never have gotten that briefing, I probably still wouldn't have a credit card to this day. I was of the mindset, all credit's bad. I'm going to buy everything in cash and just live that way.
Wow.
There was another guy at that same base. He was retired senior master sergeant who was working as a GS employee. I was going to buy a Jaguar, and he was like, "Don't do that. That's stupid. Go buy a house." And I was like, "Oh, I don't. I got a nice apartment. I'm chilling. I don't know how to buy a house, so I don't want to buy a house." But eventually, I did end up buying a house, and I'm like, "Oh, well, this house thing is cool." Same thing about stocks. There's another guy who taught me about stocks. He talked about
Mm.
safe stocks, ETF, index funds, stuff like that. He told me about high yielding savings accounts. Just all these things that I've never heard of before, right? Because my parents they didn't know anything about that, and it's all just because I joined the military and I got sent to these random places: Oklahoma, Honduras, Tampa, Florida, Afghanistan. I just met all these different people who just gave me little nuggets here and there. Now I find myself wanting to be a financial coach just to try to share all that information that I've learned over my years with others. So, all of that to say, has there been anyone since you've been in that you would attribute some of your growth throughout your military career to?
On the finance side, I think that's a phenomenal story that you shared because it shows the contributions and just the talents that so many military members have and the skill sets that we have outside of just mission execution and what
Hmm.
we're doing for the service. And for those different individuals that took the leadership to step up and do that. And really, it starts with the culture and the climate that allows them the safe space to be able to feel like, hey, they can have a conversation about credit and pull people to the side and bring them into a forum like that. For me, looking back over mentorship, when it comes to like the real estate investing side and the financing side, I can't really point to anyone inside the service that kind of helped me. But there was one individual, when it comes back, and I take that back. I take that back. Now that I think about it, when I
Hmm.
look at my first deal, shout out, shout out to my guy Nick Battle, Lieutenant Colonel Nick Battle.
Okay.
I always give Nick his props. Not to think about it, but we were lieutenants. We came in the same time, and for those that haven't read my book, my story, that, I had to get a family member to sign on my first lease for my apartment as a brand new second lieutenant at Warner Robins, Georgia, because my credit was screwed up. I didn't know I needed to pay these people their money back on their credit card on time.
Right.
Or, if I missed a month or two, that was going to negatively impact me.
Hmm.
And so the most humbling thing was to have a family member sign on that lease for me. And I got my act together. I was like, you know what? Next 10 months, I was working on my credit and stuff. My buddy Nick hit me up. He was like, J2. He was like, man, I found this duplex. He's like, I'm going to buy a side. You need to buy this other side. And we're going to move in. I was like, okay, I don't know anything about buying a house. He's like, man, we use our VA loan benefits. We don't have to put any money down. I'm like, hey, sounds good to me. And when I looked at it, talked to the lender, they were USA, and looked at the numbers. They were like, okay, you'll be paying about $445 a month. I'm like, I'm paying $730 right now
Hey.
for my apartment. I'm like, okay, no brainer.
Hmm.
And I ended up getting money back at closing because the seller he paid our closing costs as well too.
Okay.
And so it wasn't a traditional mentorship or someone that kind of did it, but it was a peer that knew a
Right.
little bit more information about me and was like, and had enough to pull me to the side, like, hey man, this is a good opportunity that we can take advantage of. And so,
Right.
yeah, no, I definitely love Nick for that because that started everything with the passion for real estate. I joined a local real estate investor meetup in Macon, Georgia, there soon after, and just continued to learn. And my wife would tell you how, because we kind of did the long distance relationship for about 3 years, and she lived in Birmingham about 3 hours away. And so when she would come to visit, hey, if they had some kind of course going on or workshop on Saturday, they're like, hey, this is what we doing Saturday.
Yep.
We can
Yep.
go and turn up a little bit Saturday evening, but we're gonna be here learning this real estate stuff. And it's super cool. It worked out. Of course, we got married, and now looking at the journey, like she's been there step by step the whole entire way with everything that we built. So I would say Nick Battle, definitely get me to that first property. But after that, man, it was just the hunger, just whether it's podcasts, bigger pockets, reading books. Rich Dad, Poor Dad was tremendous with changing my mindset and the limited beliefs I had around money and
Hmm.
business ownership. And so for me, it was just consuming the knowledge wherever I could get it. Wasn't necessarily there in the service per se, but really just being able to get the knowledge and then start looking at, okay, how can I apply this to my life and start taking action with being active in rental properties, then start getting into the fix and flips and eventually getting into the multifamily space.
Okay. No, that's good. And yeah, like you said, I always encourage everyone to be kind, to talk to people, to reach out, because you never know what kind of impact you're gonna have. Because like your friend Nick, he could have went to anybody with that deal.
That's true.
He could have
That's
went to
true.
100 other different people, and that might have changed the trajectory of your entire life. Because you do be like, shoot, I'm chilling. I got this apartment. I'm cool.
Good.
It's so crazy how those little things can turn to such amazing different butterfly effect. Basically, it just
Hmm.
change the whole trajectory of someone's life. So that is phenomenal. And oh, actually, so that was a duplex. Do you guys still own that? Did you sell it? Do
So,
what's
so Nick still owns his side of it. I sold mine the beginning of 23. I
Okay.
sold mine. We were coming up. So for those in the military that don't know, with the tax law set up where with you can defer capital gains tax if you lived in the primary residence over the last 5 years. If the two of those 5 years is a primary residence, then you don't have to pay capital gains tax on the profit that you make when you sell. And so what is that? 250,000 for a single individual, maybe 300,000, but then 500,000 for a couple. But the cool thing with military, with us moving around, that 5 years gets pulled out to 15 years. And
mm,
so as long as you had it as a primary residence within those 15 years, then now it allows you to sell it later and still forego on having to pay those taxes on the gain. And so that was something to looking at just the time. And we never replaced the roof. But we bought it in '06, was built in '03. And so never replaced the roof, never replaced the carpet. I had one tenant that moved out after being there a year when I left in 2010. And then in 2011, the other tenant had been in there almost nearly 12 years
mm,
before she moved out and we sold it. And so it was the time, right? It was a lot of deferred maintenance that was going to be coming up.
right.
And with me and where we are with the apartments and multifamily with our portfolio, I started looking at how can we just sell off some of these one-off properties that we have, bring in the money, and then look at
Right.
going into a larger multifamily deal.
Okay. Um, about, if you don't mind me asking, about how much did you make off of that?
Yep. So that one, that's a great question. And so we ended up making close to around 65K on
Hmm.
that one. So we bought the property with 65,000. We looked at, we ended up selling I think 115, and I think we still owed around 50 some odd thousand
Sure.
on the loan. So it was about in that percentage where we ended up at in the 65K range.
Okay. I mean, that's not
And,
bad.
and the
You
cash flow, yeah, and then we were
were.
having. I should have took the rent up over the years
Mm,
more than we did. But I had a lazy property manager that was just kind of go along with the get along,
sure.
and really wasn't bringing the market rent, which was fine. But it was cash flowing the whole entire time and paying for itself. So
Hey, that's it.
uh, it was a good deal. And so, that's the building wealth process. Like just you buy, then you let time do its thing, and your residents pay down your mortgage. You get some depreciation on your taxes. You get the monthly cash flow, and then it goes up in value over time.
Hmm. No, that's good. Yeah. So I mean, you went from living in an apartment, you know what, paying eight, went and bought a house, no money down, then you had to pay four. So effectively, you save an extra 400 every single month the whole time you're there. You leave, somebody else moves in, they start paying for it. I don't know how much you were cash flowing each month above the mortgage, but worst to worst, at least paying
Yeah,
it off to where,
yeah. No, we were bringing in like $300 a month. And that was after
I mean,
mortgage, taxes, and
yeah,
insurance.
no, that's just, come on, why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you do that a
Yeah,
whole bunch of times? It just makes sense. So how would you recommend somebody at their first base get into real estate? Because I feel like everybody talks about real estate, but there's like a certain layer of, I don't know if it's distrust or uncertainty, um, because people are just like, I know how to rent an apartment. I go there, I sign this paper, this lease, I don't read it, and
hmm
then I get the keys. How would you recommend somebody, at their first base start their real estate journey? Like, what would be the best?
yeah, no. And I think we're looking at that because that's a great question, especially for so many people when they join the service. That it's a lack of knowledge why people don't look at investing in real estate or buying a house. It's like because it's safer, like you said, it's more convenient to just go sign a piece of paper and have a place to live versus
Mm-hmm.
everything that comes with home ownership. So I think the first step is really understanding where you are when you are in your career or where you are right now financially and understanding where it is that you want to go. Because hands down, the VA loan, that process is one of the greatest resources that we have as military members. That the GI Bill, and so with it allows you to be able to buy a property with no money out of pocket. So maintain that good credit score. You got to. Everyone knows that you have a job. You're not about to get laid off from the military.
Right.
And so, from a lender's perspective, you're a great client for someone a candidate for them to give a loan to. And so now it's like, how can you leverage this to turn this into an asset? And so, one of the great ways with it is one, you can buy multi units with it. So instead of just buying a single family, you come into service, you're most probably aren't married. And so you have an opportunity where you can just you can get a 2 unit, 3 unit, or 4 unit property using your VA loan because they're all still considered residential. And so, there's other single individuals that are looking to move out of the dorms or maybe coming new to the base. And so, guess what? They need somewhere to stay. So, why not rent out by the bedroom? If you could buy a single family house, buy a 4 bedroom. And I know some guys that's done this in California where a bunch of lieutenants get together and one person bought the house and then he rented out individual rooms to other lieutenants at a discount of what they could pay for an apartment. And so they're saving some money. But guess what? He's offsetting all or if not near most of his monthly mortgage and taxes and insurance payment that he has to make by being able to source that out. So I think one of the things that service members have to look at is that creativity
Mm.
that comes with, especially when you're a young individual, because right now across the board, housing has never been it's been at its peak right now for the median sales price for homes. Home ownership has never been this unattainable for most right now, and so we have to change our strategy when we start talking about entry level home ownership for young individuals that's just starting a career, joining the services. Like now you have to have different strategies in order to qualify to buy that property, and how you can create and turn that liability that you have with each month with the expenses you have to pay, that mortgage, taxes, insurance. Now, how can we offset that by being able to increase income? So renting out by the bedroom, renting out a basement, renting out, the ADU or the garage in the back. I met someone at the Military Influencer Conference last year that she was telling me that she was a veteran, that she rented her pool out in San Diego and made $14,000 just renting her pool out. And
Hmm.
so, we have to think creatively and look at how can we create income with the resources or assets that we have at our disposal. So for me, look at how you can get into home ownership. If it's an expensive market, then you may need to look at, hey, how can I offset that by, maybe creating some additional income by leasing out by the bedroom or putting it on Airbnb, where I know people that have put their entire house on Airbnb. And when somebody rents it, they just go get a hotel or go crash with a buddy
Hmm.
and do that. So you got a ton of options, but you just have to think outside the box and look at how you can make it happen.
No, I like that, and because probably with everyone, there's always stuff I'll look back on. I'll be like, man, I wish I would have done this way. I wish I would have done that way. Because at my first base, I didn't get a house, but as soon as I moved out of the dorms, I moved into a 3-bedroom apartment with 3 people already living there. So I was sleeping on the
Mm,
couch for the first, couple of months. One of the guys,
okay.
he had orders. I was just waiting on him to leave, and then I was gonna,
Okay.
move into his room. But effectively, what was the rent? Let's say I don't know, rent there was like maybe like 1,200 or so. So we're splitting that between 4 of us, and then splitting it between 3 of us. So I'm only paying like $400 a month, which I was at least a good saver. So I put a lot of money into my savings. That's why I was thinking about buying a Jaguar. But I, if I could redo it now, I'm like, man, we should have just got a house. We should have just got a
Yep.
house, did the same exact thing, and then I'd have had equity. I had a nice little house in Oklahoma, just thinking about it now, it's like, man, I could have done so much. And that, like I said, that's kind of what fuels me wanting to do coaching and to show other people. I'm like, try this stuff now before you get kids, before you get a wife, because it's kind of like you were saying with the creativity piece. It's a lot easier to be creative when you're by yourself. There's there's a lot more, like me as a single man. There's a lot more I'm willing to deal with, and I'm all I need is a room, got my computer, got a bed. I'm chilling. If I can rent out other rooms, I don't mind sharing a space with 3, 4 other people. But it's like I get a wife and kid, I can't do that. Just there's a safety thing. There's a comfortability thing. There's a whole
Yep.
bunch.
It
You
is.
become more limited. Not saying there's anything wrong. Marriage is amazing. Family's amazing. But yeah, I would highly recommend getting into your creative bag. As soon as you get out your parents' house, as soon as you can, because there's a lot more that you're willing to deal with before your family and your comfort levels and everything starts rising. Um, man. So I think that is a really good note for people, beginning their entrepreneurial real estate career. Would you be able to speak more into growth? So it's like, all right, cool, get it. Try to live in a house, house hack it. Try to get other people to live in there with me so I can save some money while I own it. But what if I want to? What if I want to grow a real estate portfolio? How do I go about growing? Getting properties that I don't live in.
Yeah, no, that's great. And that's the thing, that once you make that decision and commitment, it's like, hey, it's game on. What's next after you get that first one? That was the story for me, was looking at how I can go and continue to build my portfolio. For me, it was like, okay, let's look at continuing to leverage this VA loan. And so I had up to 3 VA loans because my first one was so low. I still had entitlement as I went into my second and then my third duty station. And so I maxed that out. And then eventually, I started looking at, back in Alabama, where my wife was from, in Birmingham, and I was familiar with. And it was like, okay, now let's start looking at, picking up rentals. And it's crazy because, back then, 2013, we're talking 11 years, how much the landscape has changed. And even if you look at just transactions, in 2022, 1 out of 7 home purchases was by an investor.
Mhm.
2023, well, actually, I take that back. That was 21. It was 1 out of 5 in 2022. And then 2023, there wasn't a lot of data. People actually reported, but a lot from what I'm hearing, a lot of people are saying it was actually 1 out of 3. It had gotten that bad just
Hmm.
because there was nobody really buying, but big investment funds on Wall Street. And
Right.
so today, and where I was with that and looking now, and my wife and I had this conversation when we were talking about, I was kind of giving her my investment thesis on why I was starting a fund and
Hmm.
how it allows individuals to invest in real estate, because right now, residential real estate has been pretty much commercialized. When you start talking about Airbnb, the different strategies out there, you have a lot of companies, large companies, not necessarily mom and pop operators, that are buying up residential real estate because it turns a profit for their business. And
Hmm.
so I was like, hey, the next level is, hey, now if you want to invest in real estate, you need to come into a larger vehicle fund where you can buy bigger deals in order to have those returns that you're looking at. And I think it really comes down to the individual, that they got to be willing to put in the work. That if you want to build a rental portfolio, you have to be active. You have to be out here going to the meetups. You have to be sourcing deals. You have to be talking to real estate agents and real estate brokers to see the deals that are happening, where you can have those on your radar, where you can come in and you can have an opportunity to buy them. Because guess what? If you're not even having a conversation, there's so many transactions that happen that never see daylight, deals that never see the MLS, that never come on the market. And so that's the thing, that you have to understand where the deal's at and how are you going to source your deals for your portfolio. And so what I found, with coaching individuals the last few years, that most people, they're looking for this passive game. That
Right.
they're not about this fix and flip life. They're
Hmm.
not about this active real estate investor life, and dealing with contractors, finding property management companies, doing value add and renovations, that most people aren't built to be an entrepreneur,
Hmm.
and dealing with those things. So I found that a lot of people, that they want to build a real estate portfolio, but they want to be more passive in nature, and which hence the fund model that was talking about, with having a fund and raising capital to buy bigger deals where everybody still gets to participate in getting the monthly cash flow or quarterly cash flow, the tax depreciation, the long term appreciation with the deals, and then the back end being able to participate in the equity side of it and with the payout. And so they don't have to worry about the phone calls. They don't have to change the toilets. They
Hmm.
don't have to manage property
Sure.
managers. So it really comes down to how active or how passive you want to be with your real estate portfolio. And now define that strategy for you and figure out what that means and what's your goal. Because a lot of times people just start buying stuff. They don't know why they're doing it. It's like, hey, what's your goal? Or you want to build up to $5,000 in passive income over the next 10 years, 5 years, next 1 year? You just kind of got to figure out what's your time horizon and what does success look like for you, when we start talking about the monthly cash flow coming for deals, and how much work in it that you want to put in, sweat equity that you want to put in making that happen. So,
Hmm. I like that part of the necessity of goal setting. I think that's super important and often kind of overlooked. It's just like, all right, I know I want to jump into this and get as many properties as I can. And you'd be like, how many do you want? And they'd be like, 100. And it's like, okay, why? 100 sounds really good.
right.
Because I'm guilty of that myself. I know that I want to be a real estate owner. I think I've always envisioned wanting to have, maybe 100 doors. I have no idea what those doors would cash flow. I don't know what the equity amongst those doors would be. I don't know what I
Mm-hmm.
would even want to do with the money I'm getting from them. None of that stuff. Just 100 doors
100.
sounds good. If I'm writing a bio, or I'm doing a talk, just throw out, yeah, just got 100 doors. Is nothing. Just kind of throw it out. Where that just sounds like something good to say. Yes, but if just listening to you speak, if I were to actually set a goal, like you said, like I think $5,000 a month, sounds good because you can kind of think about whatever your monthly bills are, your budget is. It's like, okay, well, maybe I make $5,000 a month at my job. So if I can make that in passive income from real estate, I technically wouldn't need my job. Or I just have 10,000 a month, either whichever one I think is more favorable. So it's like, okay. And then getting to the work ethic part, I was like, all right, well, if I want 5,000 a month in the next 5 years, how much work do I need to do every year to build up to, receiving that
Mhm.
amount? How many houses do I need to get? What type of deals do I need to create this kind of cash flow? And it's like, all right, now I have a better idea on how much I need to go out into the street, how many cold calls I need to make, how many doors I
Yep.
got to knock on, how many, uncut lawns I got to find. So I think that is good. And yeah, like you said, you coach people, so I'm sure you've heard it a ton. That's often overlooked. So what's the biggest property that you own?
So the biggest one we own right now is a 40 unit in
40,
Montgomery, Alabama.
40.
Yep, 40 unit.
Okay.
Yep, 40 unit, and it coexists with three other complexes,
Hmm.
all right beside one another.
Do you have any interest in buying the others?
Yeah, we own them. So we ended up buying all of them with
Okay.
the owner. So it was two owners. We bought the 40 unit before we even closed on the 40 unit. The individual that owned the 24, the 20 unit, the 12 unit next door, they share property management. And so once he found it out, he's like, "Hey, I want to sell as well too." And we were able to put a pretty good deal together. Got some owner financing on the 24, the 20 unit, and used hard money lender to close on the 12 unit. Pretty good,
Hmm.
a really great deal. With being able to do that, and we ended up raising about 730K for the 40 unit, and 100% owner financing for the 24 unit, and hard money for the 12 unit. And it took us a year later to close. December 23, we closed on the 20 unit there with that one after we bought the other ones October 22.
Okay. So you said the 40 unit itself, the total cost of it was 700?
No, that was the
That was
money
the down
raised. That
payment?
was the down payment. That was the
Okay.
down payment. And of that, we had 270K allocated for CapEx or renovations on the property.
Okay.
And yep.
How much was the entire property?
Yep. So the purchase price was 1.925 million.
Okay.
Yep. So
So,
1.925 million. We had to bring a little bit over 700K to the table.
all right. So those are big numbers, right? I would say. Maybe not to you. I don't know. You've been here. To us regular people, those are big numbers. All right. So you're in the military, you're active duty. I don't make 700 in anything thousand. Um, I work in finance. I don't know anyone that makes that much. So how are you able to purchase, basically a $2 million property and with your 700, like where'd you find that at?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and it's definitely doable. And the good thing is you don't have to have all that money yourself. And so, one of the things that, I started doing a couple years ago, I ended up started raising money for renovations on my single family fix and flips. And we started doing multiple deals simultaneously. We definitely had to start raising capital. And so that kind of set the framework and precedence for this deal. And so with the down payment, I ended up bringing right around 370K to the deal myself personally, and then I ended up raising the rest. And with the conversations, really the network, and it was somewhat stressful, but just having the network and conversations that I had a 15-minute investor pitch where I raised 230K and 50K from two individuals in just a 15-minute phone call.
Hmm.
But I had a relationship with them. One of them knew me from a mastermind group. The other one knew me from their brother-in-law, that
Right.
was in a mastermind group with me. And, so having those conversations and the large lump sum that I had just did a refinance on my 18 unit, my first apartment complex, and we renovated it 2 years later. We did a cash out refinance where the bank gave us a little bit over 400K because it had went up in value, and we leased it completely up. And so I took that tax free money from that refinance, and then look to get into other real estate deals. And just so happened was able to run across this 40 unit and put the deal together and know how to structure it where, you don't have to. And I learned that with my 18 unit that I didn't have to bring all the money to the table. I could bring a lump sum for myself, could raise capital. And if I didn't have 370,000, I would have just raised more money and gave more equity away to make the deal work. And so that's the thing that really, especially as you start looking at the larger deals and really any deal, it's like once you get that knowledge and insight on how
Hmm.
deals can be structured, and now you get rid of that limiting belief of I have to have all the money. Or because for me it's like, man, I can't go ask these people for their hard-earned money and beg people for money. Like that ain't. I bootstrap myself to this, and so I wait till I can save it myself and get there and buy it.
Right.
Like no, that's not how deals are done. And that's the thing that I had to get comfortable with and still maintain control with the partnership and be in a position to be the managing member and have the majority of the equity and those things in place in the right operating agreement where I can still control the execution and the results of the deal, but at the same time have other people who would have never had an opportunity or never found a deal that great to invest in to give them an opportunity to help their money grow, to partner with me in those deals. And so that was the really cool thing. And that was a stretch deal. It was the biggest deal that I've done. And it definitely was a stretch for me with being able to kind of step up and raise that money and doing a deal. Because I would have never thought I'd been doing a $2 million apartment complex deal and, and raising money to that level to do it. And, right now we're in the process of refinancing that whole entire portfolio.
Hmm.
And yeah, and looking to take the majority of our capital out the deal. We're probably going to probably recapitalize the deal since we had a large amount of 100% owner financing for the 20 unit, 24 unit. We're going to raise some more money. We have about 33 units that still need to be renovated. And so we're going to renovate those units and then probably take about at least 75% of our money, that 700 some odd K, take that out, return that back to us, and continue owning and managing it into the future and the cash flow that is producing.
Okay. I think that all sounds good. So something, after you get out of getting your first house and you start looking into all of this real estate investing, right? I think something we run into a lot is OPM, right? Everybody from here to there yells out OPM, 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 OPM. OPM's other people's money. Don't spend your money, use other people's money. You said it multiple times, during this talk.
Mhm.
But I think something new people, and myself, run into is, sure, using other people's money sounds great. How do you get other people to give you their money? So I know you said that, you put together, a pitch deck. Uh, so I assume it probably was like, this is the place I'm trying to buy. Here's how much it costs. Here's what all I'm going to do to it. Here's what it should be worth after I'm done doing this stuff to it. Here's what it's going to bring in monthly. Here's the plan on how long we're going to have it. All that good stuff investors probably want to know
Yeah.
before they,
Sound like you've
they,
done that a time or two.
no, just, I watch videos. Um, so I don't know. I guess it's like that, like the bridge between being new and not knowing these people who to ask. Because I think a lot of people are like, if you say like, oh yeah, I didn't have $1 million to buy this property. I had $100,000, but I just raised the other 900, and it's like that sounds good, but it's like, where do you raise those from? And it's like, oh, just some people I knew here and there. When most people hear that, it's like, I don't have any rich friends. All of my friends ask me for money. How do I find these people to have these type of conversations with to grow my business?
Yeah, no, that is a great question on where to find those individuals, and it's a real life challenge that a lot of people have. And for me, it was no different. I came from humble beginnings, that I didn't have a silver spoon, and over the time that I've learned the power of the network, of your network, and mastermind groups, joining groups of like-minded individuals, and understanding that you are a summation of the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Mm.
And so the thing is, like, you have to seek. those that are where you want to be or those that are going the same place that you want to be. And I'm a true believer that iron sharpens iron. And so if you're a precious metal, then you need to be around other precious metal. You know, if you're an eagle, then you can't be hanging out with the chickens on the farm. And so the thing is, like, you have to get outside your comfort zone. And you know, there's these people exist. There's these people exist all over the places, but they don't know you. You don't know them. And so the thing is, like, if you know if you're really serious about this, that you will start figuring out how to get in those rooms, having the conversations, finding a mentor, finding where do these people hang out? Do they hang out in the nightclub? You know, or are they at the Hilton Hotel at the bar, or are they at the FinCon conference, or are they at the private equity fund conference in New York City, or a conference in Vegas where all the top stock investors go? So you got to figure out who's your avatar, who do you relate with, who has the same similar story to you, who has the same passions and hobbies as you. And now it's like, okay, where do these people hang out? Where do they reside at? It's like, okay, then I probably need to be in the same places with them. Start having a conversation. Sometimes you have to pay to get in those rooms. I've paid to get in the rooms, and then you get in there and you look around. Oh, this is art. I'm like, all right. Yeah. Thought it was gonna be a little bit different.
Hmm.
Everything like, but hey, I'm here. I'm gonna make the best out of it, and then take this experience and take it to the, to the future and everything that I'm doing. So you just got to get out here and have the conversations because, like, for instance, we just came back from FinCon, and like the relationships, the people that you meet, the conversations that you have, that you're one conversation away from somebody that you don't know that can change the whole trajectory of your career, that can put you in touch with somebody they know or to
Hmm.
put you in touch with the right opportunity. So we just got to get out here and let people know what it is that you're doing, how you can help them, because everybody they wants to know, what can you do for me? And so, and really understanding what their challenges are, what their goals are. And now it's like, hey, I know you want to create passive income. I know you want to help diversify from the stock market, and you really love real estate. Guess what? I have a great real estate deal that's going to give you some cash flow, going to give you some tax write-offs, and it's going to help you build long-term generational wealth. And I'm so kind that I'm going to let you give me 250,000 so you can participate in this deal, so you can hit all those goals that you got set for yourself. And this is my team, because that's the other thing. Like, a lot of times, I was guilty of that, where even with me, when I started telling people like, hey, I'm setting up my fund, it's like, okay, I never executed. I never been a fund manager before. I never raised $10 million and bought, and participated in that. But I got this experience. And so a lot of times you have that imposter syndrome, but at the same time is you just got to understand the experience that you have, what you bring to the table, and don't be afraid to hire and bring other people around you to fill in your weaknesses or the experience that you lack. Bring in team members that can bolster that. And now it's not, hey, Johnny or Darius that's only done one real estate deal that's coming. It's like, hey, it's Darius, Johnny and his team that has a total of 30 years of real estate experience that's bringing this deal that I can invest in. But the thing is, you got to figure out, get that experience as fast as possible, or get around other people that have the experience. Whereas that you definitely want to be a good fiduciary over people's money and capital that they invest with you. And so you just want to make sure that you're getting that experience getting out there. But there's plenty of money out there. There's too much money out here right now.
Hmm.
And so anybody listening to this, like, get past that limiting belief. There's funds out here that invest in any and everything. And there's plenty of people out here working hard that have no clue on how to invest their money. And then when you start talking about real estate and alternative investments, like, they have no clue on where to even start. And
Hmm.
so that is where you come in with the opportunity, the knowledge, and the deal. And when you bring the two together, that a lot of goodness can happen.
No, I think that's a good thing too, because until you start thinking about it, I guess that those facts don't ever occur to you. Like the whole thing of there's so many people with like money, either good jobs or good saving or a combination of the two, and all their stuff is sitting in their USAA savings account earning 0.01% annually, just
Yep.
chilling. I mean, 50, 60, $100,000 just sitting there effectively gaining nothing.
No,
And
losing money with inflation.
well, yeah, you call it inflation. And then it's like, yeah, not posturing it as, hey, give me money to help me out with stuff, but posturing it as, hey, let me help you out. I see
Yep.
that you're only getting 0.01%. I'm going to give you 8, 10, 12% on that. Just effectively, what's that? Like 12, 1200 times the amount of money that you're getting right now. I'm going to give. Who would not want 1200 times the amount they have been receiving for the past 10, 20 years on their money? That's just, that in itself is an easy no-brainer. You do that, invoke confidence in them, talk to them professionally, let them know you know what you're talking about, and you're going to be, like you said, a good fiduciary of their money. We're responsible. um yeah, because honestly, that's how it happened with me. I haven't reached out to too many unknown people, but I reached out to people that I've met just along my career. So last year I bought it's now an Airbnb, but the way I paid for it at the time, I didn't have enough capital to just buy the place. But I reached out to my master sergeant that I met when I was in Afghanistan, and we stayed cool. She knew who I was. I know just because we talked that she has some coins, and they just be sitting there. And I'm like, hey, your coins are making this. I want to do this thing. Let me borrow some of that, for, I don't know. I think I borrowed money from her for like 3 months because I think that's how long it was going to take for me to get, money from
Gotcha.
somewhere else. And she was surprising to me. She was like, okay, yeah, sure. I trust you. And I was like, really? And I was like, all right, full disclosure, I ain't done this before. I've done my, what I think is due diligence, and obviously I'm gonna try my best at it, but I'm just being real with you. And she's like, nope, I understand. It's cool. I trust you. And I was like, okay. Yep. And I borrowed it from her, did all the stuff on the house, whatever, got it rented out, got the money back, paid her, with interest. And she was like, oh, that was easy. I just made, way more money than I would have made over 12 months, in 3 months. Let me know any other time you want money. And that, like you said, that team building, giving people money back, giving people more money than they gave you, does something real beautiful to a relationship. Like, y'all end up
Yes.
being closer than ever before. Because I think many of us are used to giving people money and never seeing it again. Much less giving someone money and then receiving more back.
Yep.
Um, but I will say, when I have done that, because I'm actually doing it now with 3 people, to me, there's a stress, maybe a slight anxiety to knowing people gave you money to do something that, you're some percentage of sure that you can make it happen, but it's not 100%. It's not 100% everything's going to work out. So you dealing with much higher dollar bills and probably people that, you know, I don't know, you may not have worked with before or something like that. Do you ever feel like anxiety dealing with someone else's money while you're trying to make a deal happen? And if so, how do you deal with that?
Yeah, no, I think that's one of the most humbling feelings is just somebody giving you that hard earned money. We're talking like the largest external investor, investing 230,000 in the deal. And it's like yeah, somebody's got some faith in you, and somebody that you don't even have a personal relationship that you haven't even met in person
Right.
before. And like you really think about that. But that's when you look at know, like, and trust and the relationship that I had with, her brother in law and, just the trust that people have in you, the confidence that it goes a long way for somebody to invest almost $250,000 in your deal. And so, that's the thing that you have to shed your secret identity, as I call it. Like you gotta come out in your cape and your tights. You go in there, you walking around with your suit, but you gotta let people know you're a real estate investor. And
Hmm.
you gotta let people see that S on your chest and like, oh wait, oh he's serious about this. Oh, he's posting, he's sharing continuously. I'm seeing the deals, the Airbnb, I'm seeing the flip, I'm seeing the growth. Like, hey, I want to get a piece of that. And just sharing your journey and it inspires people and it opens up the opportunity for people to invest with you. But the anxiety, it comes with it with deals that happen and just the ebbs and flows of real estate. It's like, man, like every deal is different, and like the deals that be bigger, like it's bigger challenges and bigger problems that you have to overcome and adversity, and it gets stressful at times, and at a whole nother level. But I'm a true believer that there's nothing it's nothing put in front of me that I can't conquer, that I um can't win. And so it's just a matter of thinking through. Sometimes you have to go raise some additional money. Been there, done that. When we hired the wrong property management company, that kind of let things go to the wayside, and we had to lease up units and renovate units that we weren't planning on renovating. And so it definitely becomes stressful at times. But at the same time, it's like, hey, either you know what you need to be doing, or you need to know who you can call that can help you get the information that you need to get things
Hmm.
back on track. And and so I think the stress level comes with it, that like that's part of growth. Like you can't grow in comfort.
Hmm.
If you're uncomfortable, and you're feeling that anxiety, that stress, and a little bit of that, it's like, oh, you're growing, you're stretching yourself, and that's where the growth happens, and that's where your breakthrough happens at.
I like that. I definitely felt it. The Airbnb wasn't too bad because the house was pretty much fine. It was just, filling it with stuff. And then, you know, I don't know, just making sure that it started cash flowing. But this renovation thing, I'm okay at the moment, but I done been stressed out a few days, like, because it's just, in my head, I was like, we knock this out in about a month and a half. I am on my way to month four, and I'm like, okay, this is not going as fast as I wanted. I done talked to some people, and they were like, "Oh, you bought a house there," and it's like, okay, that doesn't make me feel good. And then some other people are like, you probably only gonna get this amount and this, and it's a lot, and it's like, oh, okay. I felt like I gave myself a big enough, gap, because I try to be like, yep, I'm buying for this much. It'll probably cost this much to renovate. Let me
Hmm.
estimate this much just in case random stuff happens. So it's just, I don't know. Yeah, because I feel like this is like a way different beast than the Airbnb thing. Because I'm
Hmm.
paying contractors. I got three different investors, and you know the amount that I have to owe them is just going up every month. So I'm trying like, come on, let's hurry up and get this thing done. I need to get into a regular loan. I'm trying to refinance, and so it is. Yes, I have been feeling the growth stretches throughout trying this. Um, so I don't want to take up your entire night, but if I had to ask a closing question, just for fun, as far as real estate goes, what is I say the worst thing that ever happened? Yeah, or what do you feel happened that grew you the most while you've been doing real estate stuff? Like something where it was just like, this sucks, this isn't working, this is this, I have to figure out how to do this. I need to do this or do this longer, or maybe get rid of this person and put a new person in place to make something work.
Right. No, but by and far, uh, that's definitely been firing two property managers for the complex that we talked about, for those 96 units in Montgomery. Over what, an 18-month period, going through two different property managers before we ended up with the one. We actually hit 1 year with them on 1 November
Mhm.
2024. Been phenomenal. Like,
That's good.
man, we should have went. If we had went with these guys the first time, oh man, we would have killed it. I'm talking about we would have made extra $200,000-300,000 that we
Oof.
lost rent, and money that we had to pay for operations while vacancy dropped because they mismanaged the property and all those things.
Mhm.
So it was definitely a learning experience, and a challenging time that I had to manage from afar. I'm 12, 13 hours away.
Right.
So, being able to manage that whole process virtual, being the manager member, and we talked about the money you raise and other partners in the deal, and you're having those calls monthly, like, hey, this is what happened, just had to fire these people,
You're right.
and then that was May of 23. Then come around October 23, had to fire them because we're like, hey, but that's one thing I learned, like, hey, you hire slow, fire fast, and
Mhm.
and don't be afraid to do that, and go on. And then, so for me, that was definitely by far that time, and just to see how sweet it is now to be going through the refinance, still be in a position where we're gonna still get our money back
Hmm.
out the deal, and we're still talking about, after the refinance, close to probably $20,000 a month of passive income after expenses. And so, we were definitely looking to be profitable sooner, and probably refinance probably a year ago, which would have been a out of the park 550 yard home run,
Right.
but at the end of the day, I've learned enough that I don't despise the growing and challenges and stuff, because I know the Lord's using it to build me up for this next level, to go
Hmm.
and run a $10 million fund. Because, like, hey, if I hadn't had those experiences, now I know what to look for. I know the questions to ask the property management companies.
Right.
I know the questions I need to ask the operators before I put $1 million in their apartment syndication that they're raising money for. And so now I've become even better, become even stronger, and even more knowledgeable in my trade craft. So it's all been a lesson learned, and it's just another seminar that I've attended and got value from. We're going through it, and it didn't break me, and so that
Hmm.
was the biggest thing. Because I was kind of teetering there on the ropes,
Sure.
moving around with it. But hey, you got to get back up and keep going. So that's one of the things, and that's why I love being able to pay it forward to help other people. Where now they say, hey, if you want to know about the road ahead, you need to talk to those that's coming back. And so it's like now I'm able to come back and help others that's trying to go and get to where I'm at and looking to get past where I'm at. It's like, hey, you need to watch out for this, that. You need to have these things in place in order to
Hmm.
set yourself up for success. So definitely finding those property manager that was, and managing that larger deal and going through was one of the, definitely the most challenging real estate piece that I've been through.
Okay. No, and I really appreciate you sharing that, because I believe what happens too often, especially, social media era, is everyone always just shares their win, their biggest dollar, sell or refinance, and it's just like
Hmm.
all real estate's up, everything's perfect all the time. Just do it, everything will work out exactly how you envision, and you're gonna make $1 million. And that's not the case. But I think it's super helpful, when people like yourself will come and share, times where things didn't go well. Because just me trying to envision stuff not going well with money I borrowed from other people for more than a year, and then me having to have someone and really disliking their work and getting rid of them and hiring someone else and then disliking their work again, that really just rings as like, I need to get out of here. I just need to stop doing all of this because everybody apparently is terrible, and or I'm just not good at picking people, and stuff isn't working out. But then the fact that you, like you said, you didn't break, you just bend as much as you need. What is it? Flexibility is key to air power, right?
Yeah.
Just all of that, and then you still able to come through. Like, you can have something not go right for a year, 2 years, and still turn it into something right later. I think that lesson in itself is phenomenal. I think that'll help
Man,
a lot of people.
bro, that'll write a book by itself. When you talk about those monthly $38,000 interest payments,
Mm,
it
nope.
come every month. And and you dealing with some knucklehead property manager and stuff that doesn't know what they're doing, and running
Hmm.
people off the property and stuff, and occupancy drops below 70%. Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
but you gotta if thank the Lord that I was a seasoned operator and I knew what to do. I know how to work with contractors. I know how to call. Hey, like, hey, I made the call. My guys from Panama City had to come up for like 2 months because we had
Hmm.
so many units down all of a sudden, to surge to get units turned over and get things going, and had to go raise additional money to come
Right.
in to cover operations and those additional units that we weren't planning on renovating. So, it stretched me, but guess what? You got to have those tools in the toolbox, and you got to go out there to the garage and put it back together and make it happen. So,
Like it. Good resiliency. So before we wrap, do you have anything that you would like to share? Closing comments, words of wisdom. I remember I think you mentioned that you have a book, or you want to talk about your coaching, whatever you like.
yeah, no, definitely, I encourage people, definitely the books out there on Amazon, Millionaire Real Estate Success Strategies, what they forgot to teach you in school. It captures my story, but then also the story of 30 other real estate investors, over half of them being in the military or veterans and just crushing it in real estate. And, chapter 4 of the book is titled Take Action. That, everybody listening to this, whatever your dreams are, whatever it is that you want to do, whatever you want to be in life, just go do it. Take action. Like, most successful people that you see, they just didn't quit. They consistently showed up and they didn't quit, and they found success. They found what they were looking for. And you can do the same thing, but you got to take action. We listen to podcasts, we read books, we listen to books, we go to the conference, we go to seminars, but we don't take action. And I'm a true believer that education without execution is purely entertainment. And so you have to start taking action and go and move out on everything it is that you want to do and be in life. And that's what it's all about. If it's real estate investing, we'd love to have a conversation, see what your goals are, and see if we can help you accelerate your journey. Because the thing is, like, when I talk about I bought my first apartment in 2020, that was 14 years after I bought my first piece of real estate. It shouldn't take anybody that I meet 14 years to be able to see the value of how they can get into multifamily. They shouldn't have the limiting beliefs about money and raising capital and doing bigger deals. It's like, I already been there. I can come back down the road and tell you, hey, it's multifamily up here. So don't stop. Keep going. Or guess what? Let's hop in this car and we can get you there a whole lot faster. And that's what it's all about. That's what I really love about masterminds and conferences and coaching, because it allows you to tap into someone else's 20, 30, 40 years of experience. And now I can dumb that down into a month, 3 months, 6 months, and take that to accelerate my journey. And so that's the thing that I just encourage people to take action. And whatever it is that you want to do out there, go and do it, because life is short. That none of us have as much time as we think. And the biggest cost that's out there is inaction. Because guess what? We each have the ability to do a deal. You're not doing one multifamily deal where you could be bringing in $5,000 a month in passive income. That's costing you $60,000 and probably $600,000 of equity every year that you don't take action, because you got the capability to do it, but you choose not to do it. And so some of us are going to have some rude awakening, and we're going to have to apologize to our future selves on all the things that we could have done. And that won't be me, because
Hey,
I'm getting
talk
it
about
in,
it.
we're getting it done, and we're gonna make it happen.
Okay. I like it. I don't think we can wrap it up too better than that. So thank you everyone for watching. Thank you, Mr. Johnny, Mr. Military, CEO. Yeah, hey, go check out the book. I will find it myself and I'll put the link in the description. And again, this is Darius Lester, your financial philosopher, and this is Mammoth Money Mindset. Thank you.